more than one round? I think it's very likely.
I think yes, Dan. That's what I think. I don't know about you, but I think
yes too.
I think yes.
Oh, I like this. We saw this yesterday. Yanka highlighted it. We saw it. The nade, smoke, flash for the upper rush. Open the door, get the flash in there, get the smoke in there. But is it actually an upper rush? Maybe it's not.
Carrigan heard his flashbang collide with the with someone. He went down into the vent, which may put stop to things. But Rain doing good work on the outside in the meantime, and FaZe will charge it into the A site, knowing that Glaive was pulled outside. And now they'll try and fight for the upper area. But there are two CTs there. Zepex is going to be sacrificed, and Glaive will try to do the same to Kiyoshima. Dupree alone. It looks like Astralis have a good chance of losing the pistol on their CT side, and that would be a disastrous start for them.
Yeah, this is a cool round from FaZe. They sort of played against the expectation, but maybe there's still a possibility for Dupree to do this. There is a kit somewhere, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure exactly where the kit is, but looks as though Dupree is going to just keep himself alive. He had perfect Kevlar, but no. Now he did. And FaZe have a round. Nice. And let's see, Carrigan has no frag still. That's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. Let's not make a big deal out of that. It's all funny and good for a joke, but he even tweeted about it, actually. It's quite funny. Either way, it's going to be a good start for a FaZe. This is interesting, actually. We see 4 AKs in a Galil, so likely going outside with that. I mean, you'd imagine that that's where you're going to get most of your advantages. And look at this, we get the fast push into lobby. And I don't know if this is just FaZe understanding the tendencies of Astralis in a situation like this, or if it's just generally how FaZe want to play this round. But again, you usually see more UMPs and general SMGs, and that means more utility. But if you're going outside, you actually really want the AKs so that you can win these big battles outside. And if you get yourself to the past that one close range position in heaven where they're going right now, then it's fantastic. You see they get all these vantage points to work off of with those AKs, and it's really, really hard to stop the T's from winning the round when they get that upper area in the rafters where they are now with the AKs. I mean, what do you do? How do you deal with that? It's so hard, and we'll see Dupree is the last man standing now. So I actually really like this approach from FaZe. They'll be able to finish it off with the detonation 2 if Dupree survives, which is an interesting idea because obviously they get $250 more for the round win by detonation as opposed to the round win by elimination. So we'll see that. So Dupree will die in the end. So 2-0 for FaZe. And this is another cool aspect of that play. Obviously, they lost 2 players, and we'll see the 2 players that were lost refilling with Mac 10s. Obviously, very light investment on the Mac 10s, but now there's no Kevlar, now there's no helmets, so the Mac 10s are really good in a round like this, really, really good. And they'll likely be able to make the money back that they lost for buying the weapons as well. So you can see everything's really just kind of working out quite nicely so far for FaZe. Nico will be able to quickly adjust there to take down Dupree, and the bomb will be planted. And it's in Astralis' interest, not even necessarily to try to give frags away at this point, because you don't really want to allow the Mac 10s to, get that SMG bonus, like $600 per kill that they would get should they fall victim to those. And instead, if you want to make it so that if they do actually really, really badly want the kills, that they commit into a setup of yours. And at this point in time, it looks like that will sort of be the case, but it's not really a setup that's very strong where they are all able to play together. So the third round being won fairly easily in a straightforward fashion. Smooth sailing for FaZe, but perhaps the stormy weather, the water's about to become a bit more troubled, as now the buy is in for Astralis.
Made me think of that Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water song, which is like in every music contest, you got to sing that. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Ooh, look at that. So we've got the sexy sideways grenades. He's moving quickly outside, however, despite those grenades, the Vice will be forced to reposition 4-man pilgrimage into secret immediately, forcing an early rotation from the CTs, although no one's really rotated. They could charge straight into the B bomb site, although I doubt they will, because you would want to assume CTs will be in position. It's a fast play from FaZe, and it's a fast flank from Dupree, which hasn't been heard yet, and Rain still doesn't quite realize that someone is behind him.
Door open again. Door was shot on him. Dupree not allowing that to be the case for too long though. And the trade comes in from Ali by control room. Such an important position for a multitude of reasons, that being one of them. Kiyoshima now discovered on the flank, but he'll win the frag, which is the important thing. Here is the interception, although Glaive not seemingly aware of that position of Kiyoshima, who is now the last man standing as they try to get... well, actually, in fact, the bomb is yet to even be planted. I thought it was actually down. My mistake. As Astralis will be able to just hold their positions until eventually finishing off Kiyoshima. So winning their first buy run back into this one.
We have a pause, or a pause if you are from continental Europe. We have a pause. Well, this is the current lay of the land, the stats on the tables.
Apparently there is lag on somebody.
Nice.
Looks good to me. Looks good to me. But I guess we can't really see packet loss necessarily if there is a case of
choke or
loss.
something like that. It's mad how much the ping varies in North America. I never really realized it. Like if you're on the West Coast, like we are right now in California, you're playing on the East Coast, you can have 90 ping. If I play on an East Coast server, I've got 90 ping in North America, whereas I would need to play on like a Russian server. And I mean Russia's a big place anyway, so or I'd need to play like on a New York server from London to get 90 ping. So we are quite fortunate when it comes to ping in Europe in comparison to North America.
At least these days, routing's just a little bit better and connections are better, and also the anti-lag coding has better, like in the client, the anti-lag in the client.
Lag compensation.
Yeah, the lag compensation netcode is much better. It used to be that there was no lag compensation whatsoever, because there's lots of problems that arise when you try to do that that can really affect gameplay. And usually there is a cutoff on the on how much it actually tries to compensate, because obviously you want to give the user the most intuitive experience possible, so that if someone's on your screen and you click on them, that's you shooting your gun and connecting with that player. But in reality, of course, with the latency, obviously, like if let's say you allowed for that situation to happen with like someone who has 300 ms, like a millisecond latency, then all of a sudden it's like they will not, they will be behind a wall all of a sudden, but on your screen, you know, you hit them. So it's like then you have all these like weird things that people are getting hit by behind walls, and if it's projectiles as well, do you do projectiles lag compensation? That's really complicated with projectiles. You don't really want to do that. So it can get really, really weird. So it's a very complex thing that took many years for people to really start to bring to a good level. These days, it's actually really good, to be honest, generally speaking. It's quite surprising how good it is. So
Mag 7 in play from Dupree. Will he go towards Squeaky Door with it? Will he go towards Secret? I think those are the two main places you would expect the Mag 7 to go these days. And indeed, it will be the former. But again, FaZe charging through towards Secret. But this time there is a smoke from the CTs, which will be a problem and deter their plans. It is time to abort for FaZe. They've got flashbangs, however. So they could drop a flash through that smoke. But it seems they will take on this challenge and investigate. That Molotov could be a problem for... Ooh, double Molotov for Glaive. However... Oh dear, oh my god, he's absolutely on fire. I wonder if the T's will hear it from his position. There is he can throw a pop flash, Glaive, from the wall behind him, which will drop just below that roller shutter. So he's got one flash, he can pop flash his way out. I don't know if anybody knows that flash apart from me right now.
And I think they do definitely know that he's there. This is interesting too, because we saw Molotov in that position yesterday, caused Happy a lot of problems. Was it yesterday or the day before that, maybe? I forget. I think it was yesterday, actually. But yeah, it caused Happy a lot of issues because that's a position he commonly plays. And you can see Glaive eventually dies. And it's such an interesting spot because if you feel like a player is playing there and you do get that kill, it's a somewhat easy pick to work onto. Because now we look at it, okay, it's taken a long, long time, but FaZe have that pick. But there's 30 seconds left. So maybe, well, they're just forced to go in anyway. Dupree not in the best situation with the Mag 7 at this point in time, as the pinch comes in onto the bomb site, and that bomb will be dropped. There's 15 seconds to collect it. It's not looking good here for the FaZe side. Just taking too long, really.
Yeah, that smoke entirely ruined their plans, and then, I mean, with the numbers that they had, there's a pop flash to be had, but to take Glaive down quicker. But the problem also is, once those smokes disappear, then Glaive can be used as bait if somebody is in heaven with an AWP, for example, on the catwalk. So I think that's why they were just standing their ground and throwing 3 Molotovs eventually to take him out once they heard the sound. I don't know what the name of that sound is. Like the sound when you're being hit by a Molotov or whatever. Anyway, we've got the anti-eco or force buy round, which is very successful for Astralis. FaZe trying to charge into the A site, but they'll run into Gatling guns. And now it's eco time for FaZe.
I guess maybe you could just call it tagging, perhaps. I'm not sure if there's a more appropriate term, but I think that's intuitive to some extent. Yeah, it's Astralis for 3 rounds in a row now. They've made themselves...
damage sound.
They've made themselves quite known on that defense now, and their money will reflect their success to some extent as well. As especially now we get this round where FaZe have limited investment. There's no utility, which is always unfortunate, but they have Deagles and they will go outside. And it's always an interesting dynamic too, because Device could just get peeked and killed. So you never necessarily know. We already have seen Nico do that on Train, I believe it was. Just peek out and just cap Device in the face with his Deagle, and I think I've seen so many clips on Reddit from FPL and so on where that's happening as well. Chris J against Nico, I saw that one recently. That was quite funny. But yeah, going to be always quite wary of these Deagles, but should be fine. It's a pretty tight defense from Astralis, and Device should be able to handle it. He's got 2 bullets left though, so it's a long-ass reload coming in pretty soon.
Oh, left the bomb in an exposed position, and Glaive got to be careful though, because they could double peek with a player on top of main, and you've got support now from Dupree, so he can back off if he needs to. But Kishima will just run into the crossfire.
Is the AWP the longest reloads, or is it like the Negev or something?
I think AWP is the longest relevant reload, but the longest reload was probably Negev or M249.
Right. Makes sense.
Probably Negev. I can't think of anything that might be longer. The reload on shotguns is really weird, because as far as the animation is concerned, there are lots of parts of the reload where you can still shoot.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where you can't. Dupree taken down. Carrigan manages to get a flash off before the trade frag can get into position. And there's a third player here for Astralis. Kiabi continuing the charge, and he will even up the numbers for a brief time as the device gets taken down by Alu elsewhere. Alu now on the flank, up the catwalk. If he gets into position above A, we can expect the bomb to go there. Both CTs, I think, are in the lobby. They'll be moving back into A. But indeed, Glaive is in the lobby, and the bomb is outside. So once Alu sees that nobody is in A, if he misses Kiabi, that is, then perhaps the bomb goes there, and Astralis won't necessarily be far away. Although Kiabi's position is known now. Glaive moving through radio, back into lobby. So we'll see if he can isolate some of these players. They seem to be moving into the B bomb site despite Alu's upper dominance. Maybe they have a read that Glaive is more likely to go to A based on Alu's actions there. They will try to counteract that, but they're moving slowly. And there we go. Things finished off by Senor Alu. 3 kills for him in that round. And FaZe keep it close.
That they do, but there's a buy left for Astralis. It's very good. So they need to convert the second round as well. Or the second round in a row, that is. So I'm curious how their plan differs now. I would always expect that, you would want to pressure outside. It's pretty important to do so. That said, very fast movement towards radio actually here from FaZe. Obviously the smokes are down immediately to counteract any fast plays. But yeah, I mean, I think that's... oh, they're just going to go for it apparently. And that's going to be great for Zipex, getting himself a 3K. A trio of frags coming his way as eventually he will get traded, but the damage has surely been done. The bomb has been lost. We'll get the CTs defending the bomb with the incendiaries there as well, buying time for rotation, buying time for positioning, as we have just Nico and Ali left in this one to try to save it, and they're definitely more than capable of doing so. Nico with the nade out though, doesn't get peeked. He's okay for now, but gets caught by Device as he jumps up on the box. Device will happily gobble up Alu as well, and that will be the round by Astralis and a horrible reset for FaZe. I'm still quite surprised that they decided to just barrel into ramp. I wonder if they had a read of some kind. Perhaps that Astralis would be only, you know, one player on ramp, which was the case, but they just couldn't kill him.
Yeah, if that one player is Zipex, you are still likely to have problems. I think even as celebrated as he is, a support player, I still feel like he's underrated. Maybe due to his position, people will never get just the right amount of respect that they've earned over the months and years playing Counter-Strike. Alu is wrecking fools with the Tech 9. We got a 4 versus 2 situation, but at least for Astralis, they've got the high ground. Molotov onto the site as they charge in. Going for some CTU level retake, but it's not going to work out on this occasion. The terrorists will win.
That was a really fast round. But again, interestingly, Astralis have enough money to buy, but that's everything being spent. And you can see Zipex is without a gun. Really in this situation, I don't think, is there something around? I don't think that there is for Zipex. So indeed, he's going to continue on with the pistol. Okay, so FaZe doing something that looks a little bit more standard. Ooh, that's dirty stuff. Perhaps the gun for Zipex to be collecting. He might be a bit far away though. We'll see. Glaive tries to get a flash in there, try to get some information as to what's happening outside. And Nico will make his presence known around T-main there, looking to try to frag any CT pushing the smoke, but he will be caught by Glaive. Very sneaky angle, flash back out there. Glaive with so much maneuvering and work to do there, trying to keep himself alive. Great anticipation there, just spotting out the flank just as it was happening. That game senses, oh man, Glaive so good at the moment. The in-game leader showing that he can frag just as well as any of his players. And now it's a 4 versus 2. Another round in which FaZe look unable to essentially crush Astralis' economy. Astralis just hanging on by a thread. But it seems that that thread is quite strong.
Kyo and Carrigan sticking together. Carrigan going on a recon mission, trying to identify where the CTs might be and thin the numbers if they can. They won't be sure if anybody's behind the box where, well, Kishima's going to check exactly that. And quietly, they will plant the smoke towards the door to provide cover. Kiabi, you can see him on the X-ray flanking towards ramp already. I think Carrigan's just spotted him there. That's a great headshot from Carrigan as the Molotov goes down. There's more work to do, though, for this T side. The vent has been broken. That increases the option for the CTs, and they may have a double peek towards the door, but surely somebody will go to control. Oh dear, too many CTs, too many angles. Carrigan alone, but not for long. He'll join his team in paradise with 3 players surviving for Astralis. Taking the lead once again, 6-5. Pretty close nuke so far.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, both teams playing it out with the best fundamentals that they can. And another thing as well to consider, I've mentioned it earlier, is that obviously Astralis and FaZe, this is maybe the biggest rivalry that we have at the moment. And with all these big events coming up, neither team's going to want to give away anything necessarily, but there will be some of these small adaptations that they start to understand one another from that metagame perspective. So it's really interesting to see just how the small things, the very small things change, because neither team might want to give anything big away, considering that they are both qualified or qualified for the finals. So they want to make sure that they can have the most powerful, like save some of the powerful punches for that situation. But at the same time, one thing that I always love about Astralis is just their fundamentals are just astoundingly good. And as you mentioned, like Zipex, the most overqualified support player in the world, I think he's very much earned that title. It's great to see his defenses, solo defenses. To get a quick push onto the A site though. FaZe just trying to barrel in there, trying to use brute force.
Numbers game will overwhelm Kiabi. Zipex though, trying to keep it together with Dupree, just covering the angle for him so he can concentrate on the site where he's had nice success. 2 kills for him. Kishima looking to take someone by surprise under heaven. Alu's there as well, and that is very awkward for the T's. The bomb flying in the air past Kyo, wondering what happened to his teammate, but he'll try and do what he can with his teammate's fallen weapon. Perfect peeking from Astralis makes it an impossible situation for Kishima. AWP rescued as well. And FaZe have been put back on eco territory, $2,000 to $3,500 for the T side. So they may have to let one go in order to try and win the last two.
Honestly, again, like just that small little situation right there at the end of the round where you have Zipex and Dupree. As you mentioned, like firstly you see Dupree's like trying to tackle the player in the site. He's playing from that position in by the vents, the T vents. And then you've got Zipex coming up. It's like, you know what? All I have to do right now is just cover that one angle. And then as soon as they realize that there's no player to worry about towards main, Zipex repositions it into hut. Doesn't peek, doesn't do anything, still allows Dupree to take the initial action, and as soon as some shots are fired, he peeks out to get the frag. It's just like this level of understanding of team play and timing, coordination is so ingrained. That is what you absolutely need to be on the top level. And it's a very obvious and clear display there, which is always nice to witness. As Astralis take their 8-5, capitalizing upon the eco round of FaZe.
FaZe back on the buy for this one. 5 AKs, no AWP for Alu. Money not there for the team. Will they go for the fast smokes and movement into Secret? And I wonder if Astralis is... I think Device is already in B. Yeah, he's making his way towards Secret because, again, earlier on there were rounds where FaZe were surrounding B practically unchallenged. Again, the CTs, however, have put that smoke down that caused FaZe so many problems earlier on. And it seems they may change their approach towards main, but now Device can raise the alarm. Ooh, that was almost a shot through the blocks onto Nico's dome. Not fast enough for that one, though. So Astralis, they've moved back towards Secret, but they're not really committing to B at the moment. They could still make their way towards main, and numbers are running thin for the FaZe clan. 2 versus 4.
Yeah, it's a really hard spot, isn't it? Nico, Rain are the players to do it. Previously, when we saw just an insane performance from FaZe on this map on the T side, it was Nico and Rain, all about them, basically just winning every single round for their team. And but this is a bit of a hard ask, isn't it? We've got Rain in a great position to take down Kirby, but now the game has been given up slightly. As you can see, the information's there. Not really considering that another player could be there. That'll be the end of the round for FaZe. 9-5 for Astralis, as they are looking great at the moment. And their money can start to build again, assuming that they have a good result here. We see 2 Galils. Surely a sign of desperation when their Galils come out in force. Obviously, it's the last round, so they have to buy up whatever they can. It is interesting, though, as you mentioned previously, just that people generally tend not to like the Galil.
Yeah, it's not even hipster tier. It's just generally disliked.
And so, like even in a round like this, right? Even in a round like this, you would expect maybe they would find something else to buy, like even a UMP potentially. But obviously, they want to spend all their money. But they could have got nades, more nades, but...
Struggle continues for FaZe, making their way towards Secret. It seems Astralis have more or less solved that issue one way or another. And maybe it's an indication of FaZe put off their game by having a massive gap in the smokes towards that direction. Kishima with a lot to do, to put it mildly. But there's a lot of ground to cover for the CTs as well. So there's opportunity for some 1v1s. Although losing most of your health in the first one is not going to help. 10-5, a good CT half for Astralis, I think it must be said. Especially considering FaZe won the pistol, they've essentially won 2 rounds beyond that.
Yeah, indeed, it's not been a good look for them so far on the T side. Again, just fundamentals so good for Astralis on that CT side. It's a similar issue that FaZe ran into on the first map, just trying to make everything work with a simple game plan. Let's take 1v1s, put ourselves in positions where we can create chaos, and then we have the players that can deal very well with those situations. But Astralis are very good at preventing chaos and handling it should it arise. So playing within their comfort zone. So we see a different approach to the utility here from Astralis. Glaive going forward, the only guy with utility, using it to try to create an unknown outside, but Nico just caps him in the back of the head. That's one way to handle it. And FaZe are well on their way to winning this pistol round, although you would have thought until Kirby and Zipex come into play. That said, the swing back as the frags will fall FaZe's way at the end of the round. 6-10 for them.
Astralis' avatars remind me of Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Which one's Kimberly?
It would be, what's the closest to pink there, I guess? It depends on if you think...
It's kind of the red,
or
but
the
there's a Red
orange.
Ranger, right? So you got to give it to Glaive then. Glaive is Kimberly. Device or Kiabi are the Green Ranger, and one of them will have to be the black one.
And Dupree's the nerdy one with glasses or whatever.
Well, the pistols are out for the
Boom.
force spike. Kiabi is causing problems for the CT side, and he's picked himself up a UMP. We'll continue with the Deagle. Nico and Carrigan are heavily maimed, as are the remaining Ts, so it is salvageable for FaZe. It's going to be a question of angles, and Zipex has a good one here. He's close enough. Oh, Carrigan gets his knife out. Why? Why you get your knife out? Why? Unable to defend himself. Kishima has surely made some noise. He could get flanked by Glaive. Zipex is here for support as well. Zipex is now dead, and we're surely going to get a 1 versus 1. Glaive narrowly missing the headshot onto Kishima. That could have been much worse for FaZe, but indeed they hold on, and that's what's key. That is what ultimately matters. The score is going to be pretty tight, and now you start to wonder if FaZe are going to have a successful CT half as well. Was 10 rounds enough for Astralis? FaZe winning both pistols will be a boost. Again, if you ignore the pistol, it was essentially a 10-2 half, but the sides have changed now. Everything will be different when FaZe are on the CT side.
Yeah, they're just going to try to just get a kill, maybe. Try to overwhelm one player or another, but running outside, not too successful. Oh,
Cheeky.
Oh, actually 2 kills in the end, though, so that's pretty nice from Zipex. And Astralis have enough money to get a nice buy-in here with the AKs. Likely going outside, I would imagine, and it's what I expected from FaZe in the reverse situation on the first half. But we didn't really see it, they rushed ramp instead. But yeah, I would expect Astralis to go outside with this. You can see a natural advantage to the AK-47s versus the weapons that they're up against. They know this, they know that there's no AWP out just yet, or they should do at the very least. And that can only, it's just more argument to go outside. But the push coming in to lobby, and I love that push for exactly the reasons that I said that Astralis should be pushing outside. That means that in reality, FaZe should expect them to have less players around the lobby. So it's a great gamble to try to take that over. We discussed last time, we had a bunch of nukes that with Yanko, that how important it is to, if you can take lobby control away from the Ts, it's so difficult for the Ts to have a strong round.
One minute on the clock. 4 on 4. T's moving into the A site. Kishima, again, this position may be the strongest position on the A bomb site for the CT. Really hard to find the frags. 2 for 1. Kishima goes and leaves it with Zipex alone. That's a lovely headshot onto Nico. And Rain's got to be really careful. There isn't time pressure just yet onto Zipex. Astralis have a habit of being launched in games.
Yeah.
It is constantly launched when they're kills. Zipex trying to make it to the stars, but he'll have to wait. ECS finals are just around the corner. Maybe they will go into orbit then. But for now, it is FaZe in a good position to tie the score. Astralis yet to win a round on their T side.
All right, so interesting approach to go on the rafters outside, the outer catwalk. A good position for those Deagles. Get a good vantage point. But you can see headshot angles can be played by Rain. Rain's one of the best movers and shooters in the business. One thing like you can really learn from Rain is how he actually decides to move whilst he does these like 2 bullet bursts. He almost looks more mobile than everybody else while still retaining like a very fast fire rate with it, but still like perfect accuracy. He's very good at that. You can see him here just easily just dealing with the situation outside with the help of his teammates, just keeping the Ts at bay. And that's going to be another round converted upon by FaZe, effectively equalizing on the score, 10-10. But the AWP comes out for Device. Will this change things?
AWP for Device, AWP for Alu. It's going to be harder for Device to be as effective. Alu, you cheeky man. Hut peek. Zipex tries to jump past and still gets shot straight in the head. Device seeking revenge, but Alu is long gone. And the fight outside of main. Nico will finish things off. Great support for his teammate. So it's time for FaZe, it seems, to have their solid CT half. And they look good for the lead. Glaive, the only man remaining. Not a single frag for Astralis just yet on this T round.
That alley shot was just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. That's just the type of thing that these AWPers can do, and it's also how the equation changes and how you have to be a little bit careful if you try to say, oh, let's say FaZe did this double up setup on this map, so it must be good. Like it's sort of a different equation when you have players as good as Ali within AWP. There's a lots of things that he can do that other people cannot replicate. Like that push, for example, he knows he's getting that frag. This is crazy. Device, he pulls out the P90, James, straight through the flames, looking to find Glory. A Glory who was found, not by him, but his team, though. He set them up for it, and it's 2 versus 3 for them.
Rain on the cleanup operation, washing away the stains, and now it's Rain remaining, looking for his 3rd kill, as is Zipex. Lots of hunting to be done. Rain, does he go towards the squeaky door? I'm not sure if it's squeaky or ramp, and it seems he will choose ramp. I don't know if he knows where the bomb is. The bomb is down in A, and maybe he's reading a potential flank around the heaven position. And there he is, and there it is, the round for FaZe. Astralis still with 0 on their T-half. FaZe, is this train stoppable for them? Again, it looked dominant from Astralis on their CT side, but it is a CT-sided map. So now perhaps they are up against it.
So we get a timeout from Astralis, thinking of what they want to change or do differently. And it's just going to be like always an issue against like highly skilled teams. I mean, we didn't see that FaZe had enough rounds, and obviously they lost the pistol round on the second pistol round on the last map for what FaZe's CT side would look like. But these teams right now, we're going to see, I think, stronger CT sides just generally because the CT side is a little bit simpler to play. But not only that, as I mentioned again, the T sides for I think both teams, they're going to keep it a little bit more simple than you would expect in the LAN finals, because again, these are the two teams that are probably the most scared of giving something away to one another. Again, the rivalry between them is crazy at the moment. And so these CT sides are very powerful. So we have movement towards ramp here, but it's just a utility followed up by Tech9s and armor. Still very, very dangerous though. But can Carrigan do a Zipex? Can he just frag all of them? He decides to just fall back and away, gives the info to his team.
And Molotov will not come fast enough, and he can't draw his weapon before Zipex will take him down. They're lining up for Nico, however. 2 versus 4. Now it's a question of if Astralis can get the bomb down. Things might slow down while the flashbangs come in, but Rain and Alu won't allow them to. Dropping out of the sky for a 13th round for FaZe. But now it's the full buy for Astralis. That was the buy between the buys on 3 to 4K. Well, 3 to 5K, but now it is the full buy from Astralis. So I think the main planning in that pause was for this round. See, nothing but CT rounds in this second half. This is a big round for Astralis. If they are to lose this round, then they're really going to be in trouble.
So Rain's looking for the spray in there through the smoke. Actually, not connecting a single bullet there. Fairly unlucky for Rain. Nico through the vents. I'm sure they will have heard that, but he'll still get the frag onto Glaive, looking for the trade fragger. He will not appear too easy. Actually, Nico's going to go out there and find it. Just wow, that timing is just unbelievable. Nico, how does he find these timings? That's 2 players there left to go for the trade kill. 2 versus 4 still, however, and plenty of time for the CTs to rotate. Carrigan in a great position, gets himself a very favorable one-on-one, and that leaves Device with it all to do. A quad kill is required to pick up this round. He's got a minute to play with in this situation. There's 1 kill, but he takes a lot of damage in getting it. And however, though, he actually is in position to get a bomb plant. But with 15 HP, this is quite something to deal with. Now, he knows there's 1 player in vents. The information is quite clear. But he's also got to be careful that player's baiting for his teammates. Using the sound of the ladder to try to convince Device to look away. It will not work, but still, the numbers will. It's just too many players against Device there, and they'll get the defuse.
Too many, man. Rain slightly delaying the defuse so Alu can collect the AWP. And that bomb plant might allow Astralis to buy in this round where they otherwise wouldn't have been able to, and that's exactly what they need to because FaZe are approaching match points. Again, FaZe with 9 rounds in a row. All the CT rounds in this half. Alu and Nico on 20 kills apiece, but Zipex has been doing well from the first half. I'm not sure how many he's got in the second, but he's still leading the charge for his team. 14 to 10. What do Astralis have to do to break the CT? Break the CTs, rather. Alu changing his approach, but this time Device will have the superior angle. No smokes outside for the T's. Using the numbers game, and Rain could get caught out on the high ground, close enough to the box to avoid it, however, and then Kiabi will be quickly dispatched off, taken care of. You see Glaive has made his way to the low area. In the meantime, the CT's being very active in the upper region, leaving in a 4 versus 2.
It's a great situation for FaZe on the retake. Glaive is pinned down in this position, trying to frag his way out, but he can't. And that's both players dead, more or less immediately. There's some promising situations there, but again, Rain did a great job holding outside and just essentially getting the information for his team. And FaZe are having a lovely time. A lovely time. 1 round away now. Very fast match between these two. And very fast nuke, just generally speaking, I think. A lot of crazy, chaotic rounds where we have a lot of trading going on. And with the teams like this, you never know which way that's going to go due to the level of skill on both sides.
I like how FaZe chose to keep 4 AKs and just buy an AWP instead of sacrificing an AK to pick up an AWP that was on the floor. Puts them in a much better spot. And, well, this round is almost over already, but not quite. We've got Glaive and Kiabi fighting for it. They've both still got most of their health. There's 2 fast kills to bring things back. Carrigan's made his way into T spawn. I think he's got an angle on the bomb as well. So Glaive is never checking this position. And this is pretty much GG.
Boom. 16 to 10. FaZe with the split series.